now that you've talked about your bachelor's in biotech at Sheffield, you also know how the education system works in India and how bachelor programs work in India. Were there any peculiar differences that you found in terms of maybe the academics or the way, the entire way in which bachelor programs are approached? And how do you think that your experience at Sheffield helped you sort of build your career path from there on?
Sure. So at Sheffield, I studied bioengineering. And the thing is, with bioengineering, it's a very new and upcoming field. It's a very interdisciplinary course. So I took courses in mechanical engineering, in computer science, in control systems engineering. So it was kind of a mixture of a broad kind of engineering degree, but with specializations in like human anatomy and molecular biology. In my second year, I got to specialize in tissue engineering and biomaterials. So I had the option and flexibility of choosing my subjects. And I think that's something you don't always get at an early stage in India, especially in bachelor programs. And also that ability to specialize.
But when you said that you did courses from the mechanical engineering department and others, these were choices that you were making, or this is how the program was designed for everyone?
The first year, they basically prescribe you courses. And so it's a wide variety of courses in all these different departments. The second year, you get some core courses, but these are only half the courses, and the other half you get to choose based on the specialization that you choose. So there are 3 specializations at Sheffield, and obviously this changes from university to university. At Sheffield, we had medical devices, tissue engineering and biomaterials, and the third was biomedical engineering. That was a broader stream. So out of these 3 streams, I was more interested in the biological side, in growing artificial organs and everything like that. So I went for tissue engineering and biomaterials. That was my specialization. So in that year, I took courses in mechanical engineering, in cell and molecular biology. I had anatomy courses where, I was next to medical students, like looking and dissecting human bodies. So I had the whole kind of wide range of experience, and it was very hands-on. That's something I think is really special about courses in the UK, that you have a lot of practicals and you're given responsibility from the start about how to kind of design experiments, and you're kind of given that out of the box thinking skill where you're not just told what to do, but you're asked to like justify why you're doing something in the lab. And so you get that kind of mindset of a researcher from an early stage. And another difference is the fact that a lot of the assessment in India is based on exams and project as well, from what I hear. But I think here it's exams, projects, essays, but it's also group work. So they put a lot of emphasis on group work. And a lot of the times, like, you're put into groups to, work on a project or work on a practical together. And you have to basically not just, focus on the technical aspects of the task, but also communication, different working styles, how to meet a deadline together. And I think that prepares you for a working environment, for example, in industry. And also what we have here is peer assessment. So when you work in a group, your peers can assess you. And so you can't just, put your hands up and not do anything in the group, which might be the case in some other countries. But you also have to, be amicable and be approachable for your peers and actually do the work, as otherwise the score is distributed unevenly if your peers think you didn't contribute enough. So definitely assessment, but also the approach to education, I think, is very different in the UK. And
do you also feel that all these experiences that you got to look at different, streams of mechanical engineering, anatomy, and things like that, that also sort of help you discover what is it that you really like? Because generally you are put into a prescribed course format, and then all of you are just studying the same subject. So 80 people can't like the same thing. So did that help in that sense also?
Yeah, absolutely. So I studied biomaterials and tissue engineering, and by the end of my degree, I actually realized that is something that's really cool, but something I don't necessarily want to dedicate like my research to. So I started getting more into sensors at that point because I was involved in a competition called iGEM. And I know we'll talk about that a little later, but iGEM is essentially a synthetic biology competition where you're put into, or rather you choose to be in teams in your university, and you compete at an international level. And my iGEM project was developing a sensor for tackling antibiotic resistance. And so that's how I got introduced to the sensors world. And I found that really interesting. The fact that you can make something that essentially it guides decision making for doctors or for patients at the point of care. So I found that really interesting. And although I was specializing in tissue engineering, I then acquired skills in sensor development and got more interested in that, and then decided to pursue my PhD in that.
Okay.
I definitely think it helps you understand, gives you kind of a big picture outlook of your field by taking different courses, because you get introduced to many more things that way. And that's how you can then make a more calculated decision about what would interest you and what you think is important.